first and foremost, congratulations to you all on this huge movie you guys have out right now, Renfield with Nicolas Cage. You all have like some really impactful parts, some really good one-liners in there, hilarious. Jenna, Keith, and Josh, thank you for joining the Access Atlanta audience.
Hell yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Of course. You guys, I would love for you to kind of introduce yourselves and tell me a little bit about where you're from, because you're local here to the area.
Yeah. Keith?
Oh, yeah, I'll go first. My name is Keith Brooks. I play the character of Doug. Doug is trash. And I'm from Canton, Georgia. I grew up around here, went abroad and came back and do movie stuff and all that. Yay! Check out my OnlyFans. Just kidding.
Oh, it's going great.
We're only 5 minutes in. It's already begun.
Perfect.
I love it.
Jenna, your turn.
Thank you, MC Josh. My name is Jenna Kanell. I was born in Boston and grew up here, lived in LA, have lived kind of all over the place for film. And now I live in Atlanta most of the time, doing acting and stunts and directing things.
Woo!
All right, Josh, your turn.
Thank you. I'm Josh Mikel.
Oh, whoops, sorry. I forgot to say I played Carol.
Oh, yeah. Carol.
Carol.
Oh, Carol.
The hilarious Carol.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's so funny. So good. I'm Josh Mikel. I'm Phil in the movie. No one references me by name, so that's not important.
Not yet.
No one knows that character is Phil. But yeah, I grew up in Conyers. I went to Florida State, and then I came back in 2010, and I've been acting up here, and I live in Atlanta now.
Awesome. Well, you guys, I mean, have definitely been doing this for a while. This, of course, isn't your first time, and I know you guys kind of know each other from this acting world. I want to know, when you got this script for Renfield and you were doing the audition process, did you guys talk to each other about like, hey, I got this coming in? Did you all know that you were auditioning for this?
I didn't know that they were involved until I saw them at the table read. So
Yeah.
Keith and I have passed like ships in the night many times and will one day actually be on set at the same time. I'm manifesting it.
Yeah.
Josh and I have now worked together, but at the time, Keith came up to me at the table read and introduced Josh and I. And so that was when I like realized that we were all going to be working together and was super excited.
And Keith just surrounded himself with great people, so it was like, okay, yeah, she's cool. Just by nature of hanging out with Keith, she's got to be cool.
He's got good taste.
He's got great taste.
I mean, look at this shirt, clearly. I think it's also like, you know, a lot of us, the Atlanta film community is it's growing ever, you know, presently, but it's still kind of small. And a lot of the people who are, you know, just good people, we know each other, or hardworking actors, we learn of each other through reputation. And then also, I mean, Jenna is super famous. Like, let's be honest here, she's from this amazing
These are not facts.
Terrifier.
Fact check this, Victoria.
These are big facts, actually. Yeah,
big facts. So she's from this movie called Terrifier that's absolutely incredible, and WandaVision. Well, actually, let me just pull up her IMDb.
Yeah, I paid Keith to say all of this.
She's incredible. And so, and Josh and I were both privileged enough to be on a television show called The Walking Dead. And so in that sort of horror world, we've crossed.
I don't know if you heard of it. The Walking Dead. No big deal.
Sounds familiar.
Indie operation, up and coming project. It's just a pilot. They're hoping it'll get picked up.
Yeah.
But Josh himself is also in the Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, this guy's in the great movie called Lost Shift. He's in the Mayfair Witches. These are both incredible actors, so to be around any of them is super cool. And that's the end of that conversation. Go ahead, Miss.
That's the cool. And that's the crazy thing about Keith. You're not going to get out of this second interview without me saying, Keith.
So anyway, I love you, Josh.
Only girl in the world.
Wait a minute, Keith. Do we have a Rihanna story on hand?
Yeah,
Keith used to work for Island Def Jam, and he wrote Rihanna's "Only Girl in the World." That's the story. Keith, tell more of the story.
I think you covered most of the bases. Yeah. So I wrote this song. I used to work for Island Def Jam, like Josh said, and we would sell like packages of songs. And Rihanna's people bought the song, and they did what they did to it, and it's an awesome tune. It played at the Super Bowl this past year, and like Josh texted me. It was super cool. And Yeah, I met Rihanna once in person, and she smelled like berries, and she was just her skin was like so soft. Like, you know, like when chocolate is so delicate, you don't want to like mess it up. Like that's what she felt like. You know what I mean?
This is getting
And
strange.
yeah, and it's just like, whew.
That's what we all imagine that
Yeah.
experience, meeting her to be like, right? Just, yeah, what a fantastic
There's like here's
artist.
the deal. This is a tangent. There are two people in this world that I've met that I think are vampires because they're just too attractive to exist the way they do, right? And it's Rihanna and Abby Lee. I worked on the show called Florida Man, and I met her, and I swear both of them are just vampires. Like they have to.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Nick Cage.
I thought you were gonna say Nick Cage as well.
Oh, there's three people I met in this world.
What an
Yeah.
excellent segue.
Well, tell
You
me,
don't
you
see him
guys,
as a
of course, because you're in this movie with him, Renfield. How is it working with Nicolas Cage and kind of being on set and just experiencing that really legendary energy?
You know, I've mentioned this in other interviews before, but he is he's you know, he's someone that takes these amazing, he makes these amazing choices and takes these, you know, what sometimes become wild performances and other times are you completely hit the mark, but he always, you know, takes amazing it takes risks, and it's really amazing to watch. And I've mentioned before, I think that I'd worked with him before, and he is this I got to experience how he handles a set more on this other thing, and he's a conduit for directors, which is lovely. That, you know, for someone that has had such a storied career, who's won an Oscar, who has, you know, directed his own stuff, who he's just he's still a conduit. There's no ego, and he'll take direction and is a completely you know, a co-creator with people, which you may not experience all the time on sets with bigger names. They may understand how something is run and want to, you know, make changes or whatever. And it's uncomfortable to be around, but he's a lovely person. Keith has a really cool story about this walrus.
Let's hear it, Keith.
Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, so me and Josh and I's characters are brief for this film. So there's this scene where I'm about to be devoured by Dracula, and it's Nicolas Cage and all this intense makeup, and I'm sitting on the ground about to be devoured, and I have Chris McKay, the director, and Nicolas Cage above me, and McKay's giving Cage some direction. He's like, yeah, I just want you to come back in from over on this side. And Cage is like, cool, yeah, that's fine. And then Cage wanders off for a second, and everything's quiet for a moment. And then all of a sudden, Nicolas Cage says, once I was at SeaWorld, and a young lady asked me if I would like to meet a certain precocious walrus. And I said, of course, madam, I would love to do just this. And as I met the walrus, they brought him out, and he was feverish with snot bubbles coming from his face, drool dripping from his mouth. I should be the walrus. And everything was like super quiet. And then Chris McKay was like, yeah, dude, that's fine. And so Cage went back and reset up everything and then came back as the walrus, I guess. But it was this brilliant change of performance that he was heaving, he was struggling to breathe, and it was just how he interpreted that character development, and it was amazing to watch. He was just like I think, like Josh said, taking massive swings and being completely free as an actor. Like Nicolas Cage has nothing to prove to anyone now. He was the Ghost Rider, you know what I mean? And so he just allows him to be as free as humanly possible. And that's just a brilliant thing to watch.
Yeah, and he's always trying different things. Like you're both saying about the swings. He's every take, he's like, there are some that are incredibly nuanced, and then he'll try something really big. And then, I mean, there's a shot that unfortunately is not in the movie, but from what I understand will be in the deleted scenes, where when he first comes into the support group and he tips his hat to the group and introduces himself. Originally, there's a moment where I'm sitting right next to him, and he turns, and Chris wanted him to smell me. And we must have done that shot 20 different times. And each time, I have never been sniffed so many different ways by such an icon. Like, there were versions where it was one big whiff. There were versions where it was a bunch of little tiny whiffs. There were versions where he like got really close to my face and then just screamed at me. There were versions where he started barking at me like a dog. Like any like any
That's
possible way
amazing.
you could think of. It's amazing how creative his mind is and how brave he is and how willing he is to just go for it.
Out of like self-consciousness, I would feel like, did I put deodorant on? Did I spray it?
He left my body. I wasn't there.
And like you see it, like watching the performance, you see him having fun. It's really like there's a scene in, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a scene in an apartment with Renfield, and he's got this like martini glass. It's so good, and he's just like he's doing these like really kind of funny, nuanced things, but it's so in character still. It fits the you know, the mood of the film. It's not over the top. It's not weird. It's just so good. I think it's a really great performance. Like, it's worth watching just for that alone. And then there's just so much other amazing stuff. You know, Nicholas Holt's amazing. Like Keith, you know, you talk about he's the consummate actor. Like he just showed. We have this little skirmish kind of thing that happens, and he's doing so much of the choreography, and he, you know, really worked hard to get this thing right.
And he'll read with you off camera, like even when it's not on him. Like, he's a very generous actor, because there's so many actors that even when they're doing all of this that we're describing, will do it in a vacuum as though it's their show. And that's not true about either of them or about any of the people, I think, that we worked with. Like, everyone it was very much collaborative and very much felt like playing with each other rather than just like, you know, making it all about them, which is, like Josh alluded to, something that a lot of big actors tend to do, but that was not at all the environment.
And I'm sure that makes a difference too, like being able to work around creatives like that and just like that positive energy.
Just like Jenna said, it goes across the cast the entire time. Like, everyone was so giving and never made you feel like, hey, stick to your lane, kid, or anything like that.
Right.
Even there was a moment where we were doing like a pickup for a scene that Josh and I are in, but Josh hadn't gotten flown out yet, because Josh is like a big star, so you got to make sure with his schedule and things like that.
Guilty.
So it's just me, and they don't have you know, none of the other actors are in the scene, but Ben Schwartz just happened to be there, and so started reading the lines for the other people and just like making up stuff and yelling at me, and I'm like, why are you going so aggressive with it, man? But still, it was great. Like, it was so fun to he didn't have to do that. He wasn't on camera at all. He's not even in the scene, but was just hanging out and was like, I'll do this. And that sense of like community, that was great. It was super fun.
And I think that's definitely like an ethic that Chris helps maintain, right? The culture of the set. Chris McKay, the director, if there was never a moment where he wasn't stoked about what you were doing. And like, a lot of times people, you know, you do a take and suddenly directors start whittling you down before they see kind of the scope of what you can do after a couple of takes or whatever. And Chris was just on board with everything. You know, you could take those chances, and it didn't feel like a massive movie like it was. It felt like something you could really have some fun on. And you know, unfortunately, a lot of that stuff found the cutting room floor, because, like, I mean, I think Remember the Table Read was maybe closing in on 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And it got sliced down to a 90-minute movie, and it's a really fun, tight 90 minutes. But unfortunately, like, some really great stuff got sliced, and you know, it's one of those tricky things of like, well, how much comedy, how much action, how much are people going to put up with, and what are the darlings we have to kill along the way that to make the movie, you know, digestible, because there's a lot of action. It's a vampire movie, so of course there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of violence. And then it's just a lot of fun, you know.
It's easy to sink your teeth into. But
my man.
I think, to me, one of the things that's cool about McKay, and I've said it in other interviews too, is about how much like he loves the subject matter and how excited he gets for it. Like, he is he directed Lego Batman, and that's a love letter. So good. And then he directs this, and it feels like a love letter to Dracula because he puts all these Easter eggs into it. And just like from talking to him, he was so excited about Jenna being in this movie because he's such a fan of her work, right? And so, and everyone should be. Like, you never hear anyone talk about Jenna without praising her because she's just so glorious. But to hear him,
thank you.
That excited about working with these actors, that makes you feel at ease. Like, oh, he cares about what we're doing and what we'll invest in this. And that just makes him a cool guy. Plus, he's got cool tattoos.
The important stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Cool
Jenna,
tattoo.
I know you talked about doing stunts. How was that in this movie? Were you able to do some things?
I was. That is unfortunately one of the things that will be in the deleted scenes. I apologize for the sound of my cat eating. Yeah, it didn't end up making it because, like Josh said, you know, we must have shot a 7-hour movie because there are for all the things that we did that got cut out, there are entire performances that got cut out. So I'm very grateful to be in the movie at all. But yeah, there's a pretty crazy stunt that I was fortunate enough to do that hopefully will be on the Blu-ray.
I mean, I feel like you guys have such good, just natural chemistry together. So I'm excited about like what's coming up next for all of you. So let's get into that. I mean, Keith, what do you have coming up next?
Well, we're all gonna go on tour together. No, that's not true.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a couple things. I've got this really cool interview with Access Atlanta that I'm super excited about. And then
Keith is so good at gassing people. Like, you can't, I've never talked to Keith and not walked away feeling like the bee's knees. Like,
Truly.
he is such a light and
so
makes
giving.
people feel so good about themselves. Like, it's so
Truly.
sweet.
Every time I see him, he's like, "You're beautiful." I'm like, "You can't tell me that every time you see me." I know I didn't get any sleep last night, but he's so.
but still, but that's how like much natural beauty you have. It doesn't
See, here he
look
goes.
At him, look at it. That's a smoke blower. He blows more smoke than a steam engine.
But I do have to also say, I watched that amazing interview you did with Chris, and he also speaks very highly of you, which you're not going to bring up here, but I will. Chris, like, that's the other thing, is that he remembers performances and actors. Like, he remembered working with Keith on Tomorrow War and says in the interview, like, I had to work with you again. I couldn't not. So anyway, sorry to interrupt, but also I'm not.
So Keith, what are you doing? What do you got next?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I gotta pay my power bill later. No,
Good luck.
Yeah. So what do I have next? I'm sorry, my brain just stopped from all the sweetness that you guys were giving me. I'm diabetic. I can't handle too much sugar. I have a movie coming out called Strays that I'm in, which is like 101 Dalmatians for adults. It's kind of intense. And it's got Will Ferrell voicing a dog and Jamie Foxx voicing a dog. Our thoughts with Jamie Foxx is go through all of his medical stuff that he's dealing.
Speaking of strays.
Yes, but prayers to Jamie Foxx for sure.
Yeah. Josh and I are in a television series together called Manhunt. That's the story of
Which
John.
is a lot less exciting than it sounds like.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't say that about your crush.
Oh no, when you hear Manhunt, you're like, oh, that sounds like a fun, like, girls' weekend bachelor party.
But
movie,
it's not.
you know?
It's not. Well, I mean, unless you think presidential assassination is like super exciting, I guess. I don't know. But it's about John Wilkes Booth. And then I have a YouTube channel where you can check out the interview with Chris McKay. And then it's called Bean Dip Productions. And every Tuesday we release something. And tomorrow we're releasing a movie set in the Super Mario universe called One Up Yours that we made 10 years ago. And it's stupid. So there you go.
Josh, how about you? What's coming up next?
I did the aforementioned Manhunt, and it is actually really cool. Monica Belitsky, who did Fargo, she did Fargo for FX, and The Leftovers is the showrunner on that thing, and it's going to be a really cool thing on Apple Plus. I did a movie with Jenna called Spray Bottle. I had so much fun doing that thing, and it's rich. It's a script that she wrote and directed and starred in, and it's awesome. With her and her brothers in it too, which is so cool. It was such a wonderful family affair thing, and just a wonderful set to be around. And then I did a movie called Brothers with Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage, Glenn Close, that I think will be out, and a Jamie Foxx movie called They Clone Tyrone. I have a little bit in, which will be fun.
Oh,
And then yeah, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. Oh, CBS. I did an episode of FBI Most Wanted, and
yes.
it was on CBS the other night, and it's on Paramount Plus now. The episode's called Rangeland. It's episode 418. Everybody watch it. Rate it 10 stars on IMDb, please.
Yeah, because he's got a cowboy hat, and his cowboy hat looks so
I
good.
got a cowboy hat in it. Yeah.
Now we have to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, please. We gotta watch Chocolate Cowboy hat.
All right, Jenna, how about you? What can we be looking forward to?
So as Josh mentioned so wonderfully, Spray Bottle is a project that is very dear to my heart, that I'm very excited about. We are in post-production on it right now. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but I'm really, really proud of what we made, and I really can't wait for people to see it. It's an action comedy short. So that's executive produced by Jason Reitman, who's working on Ghostbusters 2 right now. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm acting and doing stunts in a feature in California this summer that I'm really excited about. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, so I won't.
Okay.
And then I have a couple indie
He's
features.
Batman. It's Batman. She's Batman.
Oh
Sorry.
my God, Josh, jeez.
There's the
Sorry.
headline.
Get out of here, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Batman is now a small androgynous Jew. We're going in a different direction. It's a new take on the genre.
I love it.
So, but yeah, there's a movie that I act in and do some motorcycle stuff in called The Build Out that will hopefully be coming out in festivals this year. And a movie that I'm the lead in and wrote called Faceless After Dark. That's a meta horror that will hopefully come out this year. I mean, you know, with indies, you never know when or where it's coming out, but it will come out, hopefully, all of them. So yeah, well, you know, stay posted. Stay tuned.
Stay posted too.
Keep tuned.
I just think, like, to be honest, like I think a lot of people in Atlanta have this view that if Jenna or Josh are in something, it has like a seal of quality already in it, because you know how hard of workers they are, and they're just incredible, and they do so many different things, and they do all of those things really well. That's it. That's deep out.
You haven't seen Undercover Brother 2, then have you, Keith?
I watch it on repeat. Do you not see the poster in the bed? It's kidding.
Yeah, well.
For some reason, Terrifier is going to be in theaters again. And
yeah, it is.
When is it coming to theaters?
July. I don't know why. I don't know what the occasion is, but
it's such a good movie, and Art the Clown is so terrifying, and Jen is so good in it. Like, this is a classic. Guys,
I can't wait to see this thing on the big screen. I'm terrified of watching terrifying movies, especially a movie called Terrifier.
I literally have 3 copies of this movie on DVD.
Do you really?
Really, because I
Why?
do support you so much. Like, because I like you as a human. And so
Oh, that's so sweet.
and I like the movie. I also have All Hallows Eve and Terrifier 2, but whatever.
Amazing.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to talk today. I thoroughly appreciate you. And yeah, we'll be watching to see what's coming up next. But for now, everybody go see Renfield, because it is an amazing movie.
It really is so nice to do an Atlanta interview with these Atlanta actors too. That, you know, there's a lot of amazing talent here, and it's so nice of you to celebrate it.